On camera. In accordance with the board's bylaws, as chairperson, I will now call the October quarterly meeting of the Board of Trustees of Illinois State University to order at 9:01 a.m. I note for the record that notice of today's meeting was posted in accordance with the Illinois Open Meetings Act, and the public has been notified of the date, time, and location of this meeting. As included in notice of the meeting, the university has provided a YouTube link that allows all interested persons to contemporaneously view the meeting and hear all discussion and votes. Trustee Navarro, will you call the roll?
Trustee Bone.
Present.
Trustee Abakumi.
Present.
Trustee Jenkins.
Present.
Trustee Jones.
Present.
Trustee Moringa.
Present.
Trustee Navarro, present. Trustee Tillis.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. You have before you the agenda for today's meeting. May I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Trustee Abakumi
Second.
and Trustee Jones second. Is there any discussion? Having no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The agenda is approved. You have before you the meeting minutes of July 28th, 2023 and September 1st, 2023. Could I have a motion and a second to review and approve the minutes of the July 28, 2023 meeting?
So moved.
Trustee Abakumi made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Tillis. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are approved. Could I have a motion and a second to review and approve the minutes? No. Okay. Could I have a motion and a second to review and approve the minutes of September 1, 2023 meeting?
I so move.
Trustee Navarro made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Trustee Abakumi, second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are approved. Next on the agenda is public comments. We have several people who have indicated an interest in making public comments to the board today. In accordance with established and recorded policy, the Board of Trustees will allow up to 30 minutes in total for public comments and questions during a public meeting. An individual speaker is permitted 5 minutes for his or her presentation. If more than 2 people wish to speak on a single item, it is recommended they choose 1 or more persons to speak for them. The Board of Trustees will accept copies of the speaker's presentations, questions, and other relevant written materials. If you have any written materials you want to share with the trustees, you may send them to bot@ilstu.edu. When appropriate, the Board of Trustees will provide a response to a speaker's questions within a reasonable amount of time. At this time, I invite Rebecca Mangles to come to the podium and proceed with your comments to the board. I apologize if I mispronounce anyone's last name.
Can you all hear me? Yes. Wonderful. Good morning. I apologize for the hoarseness of my voice. So I'm a graduate teaching assistant in the communication department. I'm a public speaking teacher. So I'm coming here today with that in mind. Recently, the Illinois State University administration has responded to our economic proposal with the Graduate Workers Union, which was to increase the wages of all graduate students, and especially to increase the minimum stipend of the graduate's master's students to $2,925. Now, this would bring us up to, or at least closer to, a living wage. In fact, the living wage at McLean County itself is $33K, about, give or take, according to the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. And while this living wage is very high, it is for 1 adult and 0 children, according to MIT. This is not something that the graduate workers are achieving right now. And you may be asking yourself, why should graduate workers make a living wage? They're here to earn their degree. That's a great question. I believe, and I'm here to state, that the well-being of graduate students is the well-being of our entire school body. and the well-being especially of our students whom we teach, right? If we can't teach well, how will we be able to pass on the knowledge that we're being given? How will we be able to do our job properly if we're not making a living wage? So with an example in mind, one graduate student whom I know personally is living off of his own salary to support himself, his spouse, and his 2 children. Due to U.S. law, his spouse is not allowed to work because he is an international student and she is not. So that entire family is relying on the one salary of maybe about $1,500 a month, I believe, which is definitely not enough to support a family. So I'm here pleading on behalf of just the entire graduate student body today, but especially those, unlike myself, those who are not privileged enough to have a student loan, to be able to fill out the FAFSA, international students who are supporting an entire family off of one salary. I plead with you, please support a living wage for all graduate students. We're in debt, we're scared, we're depressed, we're anxious, we're not doing well, and I ask you, how are we supposed to be able to teach well with all of these things in mind? And you might ask yourself, what is ISU doing about this? Well, their counterproposal came into bargaining this very week. And do you want to know the raise that they proposed for master's students? They proposed $46 in addition to our current monthly stipend. That does not even keep up with inflation or the rise in rent or the rise in the cost of food. You all know how much the cost of food is right now. Our economy is failing, and we just need to be able to survive. And so the proposal that came from ISU was truly disheartening for many of us here in the Graduate Workers Union. For myself, I got very angry. I actually almost laughed when the first proposal came in, but now I'm very angry, I'm very upset, and I just don't think that you all know how much this actually affects our lives. And I know that a lot of you here are older today, and you might be telling yourself, when I was your age, I was also in debt, I was also surviving, but it's much worse now. So I'm begging you to please empathize, put yourself in our shoes, because this really does matter to us, and we're being absolutely serious when we say that graduate workers deserve a living wage, they deserve better, they need better, furthermore, whether or not they deserve it, they need it. So if you don't think that we deserve it, maybe at least start with compassion and the fact that we do need a living wage, otherwise we're not going to be able to continue serving the student body any more than we're able to currently right now in living in poverty. So please keep that in mind with the high cost of living here. We really need ISU to get behind us. We really need people like yourselves, staff, faculty, affiliates of ISU. Please talk about this with your cohort. Please talk about this with your colleagues. Tell them that graduate students need and deserve a living wage, because otherwise I'm simply going to burn out.
Thank you, Rebecca. At this time, I invite David Valdez to come up to the podium and proceed with your comments to the board.
Very good morning to you. The previous speaker actually stole a lot of my thunder in terms of the specifics of what I was hoping to bring up. So I guess I could focus more on the practical aspect and sort of the issue on the ground. As a GTA within the School of Communication, I also teach Com 110. Sort of within our offices, there's a lot of talk in terms of how much student fees take up in terms of the total stipend. In terms of things like rents, groceries, in terms of living as an independent adult, even within a town like Normal, as lovely as it is, it's very difficult to make the numbers add up. Now, granted, as a communication scholar, I got into it to get away from numbers as fast as possible. But nonetheless, no matter how far you run, they tend to chase you. $1,300 a month is not terribly much to live on. Rent is about $700 or so for a student trying to live on their own. That's more than half of the monthly wage. Groceries on top of that, utilities sometimes on top of that, There's not terribly much to live on, even less to put away in order to save up for the future. In short, basically, there's sort of a demoralization within the offices, within the graduate teaching assistants. There's a lot of talk about how or whether one will make the month's rent, how many extra jobs one will have to work in addition to teaching for the school. And this is kind of a shame because I came into Illinois State University kind of blind. I'll be honest, I was told that it was the best communications master's program in the country, or at least up there, right? Very competitive, really quite extraordinary. And that's what I've very much seen in terms of the quality that the school offers, in terms of the quality of the staff, and in terms of the quality of the GTAs. I just wish that in terms of the logistics, in terms of helping the students to get by, that the school would reflect that. This is all I have for you. Thank you.
Thank you, David. At this time, I invite Allison Babbitt, hope I didn't screw that up too badly, to come to the podium and proceed with your comments to the board.
Hello. I'm a graduate student. I'm not a teaching assistant, and I'm speaking today as someone who really doesn't have necessarily a dog in this fight, but I also want to reiterate that I guess I'm adding my voice to say that I think the graduate student teaching assistants should make a living wage. I took classes in my undergrad taught by graduate students, and as I was receiving my education, I wanted to, receive a quality education, and if the teachers who are responsible for teaching many of the first courses that undergrads are taking in this institution, they should be receiving a quality education from the start. I've had many roommates who are graduate teaching assistants. I've seen them put together their syllabus, and when they have time to dedicate their own research and their own time to make sure that it's a quality experience, it can be a great thing. And when they're too busy working a second or third job, the quality of the education does suffer. And this institution can be so much better if it invests in making sure that from the first time a freshman steps onto this campus, they are receiving education that is worthy of being in Illinois' first public institution. Thank you.
Thank you, Allison. At this time, I invite Stephen Lazaroff to come to the podium and proceed with your comments to the board.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. I'm Stephen Lazaroff. I'm a fourth-year PhD student in the English department and a member of the Illinois State University Graduate Workers Union. So you've heard from some of my fellow GTAs about the insulting offer from our employer, the Board of Trustees, before us here today. $46 a month raise for master's students, $100-something a month for PhD students. But I've gotten ahead of myself here. I should slow down. In month 7 of bargaining, Hovey Hall finally gave us an economic proposal. After we'd arrived at the beginning of bargaining in March with a complete package of proposals, taking this seriously. That's what it looks like to take it seriously. Looking at the proposals, though, it appears they really didn't need all that time at all. They could have given it to us in March, when they're the ones on the clock getting paid to be at the bargaining table, and yet their proposals reflect zero respect and zero effort. They aren't even putting in the effort. The proposed wages still leave grad workers over 60% below the cost of living. 60%. This is not tenable economically, as Rebecca said and others have said, but it's also not tenable morally. Let's take a look. Is it moral to have a wage differential of 28-1? Interim President Tarhuli makes $320,000 a year. That's $27,000 a month. That's more than 2 master's grad workers in communications make in 9 months. One human being. $320K a year. That's 29 grad workers at the minimum. 50% of our unit are at the minimum. That's 29 of them. 29 people for one person? Is President Tarhuli worth one person? Worth 29 people? Of course not. We're 29 human beings. And besides our basic dignity, we actually produce essential labor for this university. If the administration didn't come in tomorrow, we would be just fine. Unfortunately, the meetings hit a wall as Director Kruger, I jumped ahead of myself here. So in order to tell us how ISU is funded, right, they bring in Vice President of Finance, there he is, a very wonderful fellow actually. I was quite impressed by the way in which he talked to us honestly. Unfortunately, the meeting hit a wall as Director Kruger acted as Mr. Stevens' counsel, jumping in at every question to gobble up any possible truth. If you know him, you know he's great at that. One instance in particular back in March, I was looking at the figures for NIU, because NIU is a peer institution, Northern Illinois University, peer institution. They get $20 million more in state appropriations. Why is that? Vice President Stevens was forbidden to answer that question. When I asked, do you guys go down to Springfield and lobby for more? Do you tell people that there are grad workers making a food pantry for grad workers because of the poverty? Final thing. I'd like to congratulate Ash Abakumi, the new old student trustee. I ran against him last spring. Congratulations. He won last spring's election as an incumbent. We've never met because you didn't campaign at all. But since you've won, I have a message for you. A plea, really. Please use your position for good and serve the students, staff, and faculty. This is quite a responsibility you have. You'd think at some point in time, in taking that responsibility seriously, you might have to vote no and go against the rest of the board. But has it happened? Have you? I hope I'm wrong. I hope you fight back there in private. But all I hear is you're chumming it up, going on Board of Trustees field trips. In your service to the student body and really all faculty and staff who are deprived of a voice on this university's highest governing body, you serve all of them. You can champion impoverished grads and undergrad workers. You can fight to end poverty wages at ISU. Or you can sit on the wrong side of history with an unaccountable Board of Trustees which cares more for stashing cash away than spending it where it needs to be spent. An administration uninterested in lobbying for more money. And they are united in building a campus that desperately needs grad worker labor, since they can charge the same amount for our labor as they do for tenured faculty. Students pay the same credit hour price for my class as they do for a tenured faculty member. Is there an asterisk on their transcript next to my class? We represent 30% of instructional faculty, and this produces everyday and long-term suffering, poverty, and debt for hundreds of people on this campus. ISU can end poverty on campus on Monday and chooses not to. Think about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. At this time, I invite Tia Reese to come to the podium and proceed with your comments to the board.
Good morning. I'm Tia Reese, AFSCME Local 1110 Secretary. Local 1110 represents many essential workers across ISU. You see us cooking, cleaning, mowing, and our work is even seen at the football games and on the golf course. With so many jobs and responsibilities we take pride in, we find ourselves struggling with a worker shortage. Our bargaining unit is short more than 50 workers. It's not uncommon to hear people have worked 15 days in a row, and for some, even 45 or more, to cover the open shifts. As we pointed out in bargaining last year, when a strike was looming over us, a mere 5 days away, the wage increases agreed to would be enough to stave off a strike, but they would be insufficient in hiring and retention. In addition to needing to cover vacant shifts, having less staff increases our daily workloads and makes daily maintenance and upkeep challenging. In some cases, work's left unfinished. The toll these conditions have wrought on us can be heard and seen in student social media and the decline in the high standards that we do strive for. In April 2022, during bargaining, ISU said they gave us all they had to give for wages, and the publicly announced wage increase likely wouldn't be higher than a 3%. which is what they offered. Because we didn't trust the administration, we did negotiate a Me Too clause. So we didn't miss out on any additional wages, and sure enough, ISU announced a higher wage. They announced a wage increase of 3.5%, 2 years in a row. A raise of 3.5% should have had us dancing, right? Well, that's not the case, because we see EMDH administration, as one example, getting much higher increases than a 3.5. In fact, at least 3 got about 17%, none of which were because of promotions. In one case, this translated to an increase of $1,233 a month, increasing that person's monthly salary to $8,366. And by the way, because of the worker shortage, these same highly paid administrators are being utilized to help fill in doing our jobs like cutting pizza, cleaning tables. And it's costing the university over $55 an hour, when the position actually only pays $15.64. We know that's not sustainable. I'm here as only one voice, but I bring with me the concerns of the workers over the shortages that resounds all over campus. The problem has a resolution, and it starts with you. So will you, the Board of Trustees, step up, take your place, and fulfill your role in this resolution? Thank you.
Thank you, Tia. Well, good morning, and thank you for joining us for today's meeting of the Board of Trustees on October 13th, 2023. Earlier this morning, the Campus Communication Committee hosted a highly informative discussion, and I want to thank Dr. Rupa Raji from the Office of International Engagement for sharing their office's goals for the 2023-2024 academic year. Many of us had the opportunity to attend family weekend events. It was nice to see so many students and their families on campus and throughout the community. Thank you for those involved in planning and implementing an outstanding family weekend, and for providing our students, their parents, and family members with so many opportunities to experience Illinois State University together. As we all know, this is homecoming week at ISU. There are many engaging activities scheduled throughout this week and the weekend. All of us have been engaged in different ways and look forward to celebrating a Redbird win tomorrow. Now, at this time, I would like to provide an update on the presidential search. The Board of Trustees of Illinois State University has been entrusted with the selection of a president for the university. The board considers this one of, if not its most important, responsibilities. The legal authority to appoint ISU's next president is vested in the board by legislation passed by the General Assembly of the State of Illinois and its government documents. In accordance with ISU law, it's the board's power and duty to employ and for good cause to remove a president of ISU. The board has confirmed its intention to hold an open search for Illinois State University's next president. The board notes this includes announcing finalists, providing an opportunity for community engagement with the finalists, and soliciting feedback on finalists before the board makes its final decision. To that end, the board is excited to share some important updates. First, in accordance with the board's authority under the Illinois State University law and its governing documents, a representative body of faculty, staff, students, representatives from university-related organizations, and trustees will be selected to identify qualified presidential candidates and recommend persons for consideration as finalists to the board. I will serve as chair of the Presidential Search Committee. I will be joined by other trustees on the committee. The rest of the committee will be named very soon, and we look forward to sharing that information with our campus community. Second, the board is looking forward to working in collaboration with Parker Executive Search as the external search firm to assist in the presidential search process. Parker's higher education search practice is one of the most highly regarded in the country. providing services to both public and private colleges and universities to aggressively recruit academic leaders. Parker has conducted more than 500 successful higher education searches for chancellor, president, vice president, provost, dean, and director positions. Third, the board is working to develop a timeline and process for the presidential search after receiving feedback from campus partners, Parker, and reviewing prior presidential searches. The process and timeline will be finalized by the board based on further board discussion and input, and once the presidential search committee is formed. As the search committee chair, I will be spokesperson for the committee and will provide timely status reports to keep the campus community informed of the search's progress via a website dedicated to the presidential search. The website will be used to provide details of the search process, identify key milestones, share announcements, and identify dates and times for listening sessions and other ways in which the community can provide feedback about the presidential search. This will help ensure transparency of the process and board community engagement and participation. We pledge to listen carefully to community input and look forward to working with the Redbird community in finding the right person to lead the university in the years ahead. I'll now ask Interim President Tarhuli to share his remarks.
Good morning. As mentioned by Chairperson Bourne, I also enjoyed Family Weekend, and I want to thank the Division of Student Affairs for their efforts to plan so many events that allow students and their families fun opportunities to spend time together while on campus. It was great to meet students and their families throughout the weekend, to see them on campus, in Uptown, Normal, at the football game on Saturday, which will be tomorrow, and throughout the community. Homecoming week is always a fun week of school spirit. This year, we are celebrating 100 years of student government at Illinois State University. I look forward to connecting with current and former students' leaders to acknowledge the role they have played and continue to play in shared governance at Illinois State, and specifically their commitment to student advocacy through the years. Tomorrow morning, we will have an early kickoff to our Saturday events with the start of the 5K, the parade, and football game, where we will be cheering our Redbirds on to victory. Thank you to our staff in Alumni Relations for welcoming our alumni to campus, ensuring that our homecoming traditions continue, and for coordinating so many engaging homecoming activities. At this time, I'd like to take a moment to formally welcome Dr. Chad McAvoy, who assumed the role of Dean of the College of Applied Science and Technology on July 1. Dean McAvoy most recently served as Vice Provost for Faculty Affairs and Chief of Staff to the Executive Vice President and Provost at Northern Illinois University. However, he is no stranger to Illinois State University, having spent 10 years as a professor and coordinator of the Sports Management Program in the School of Kinesiology and Recreation. Dr. McAvoy wasn't able to join us at the July board meeting, but he is here with us today. So please join me in extending Redbird welcome to Dr. Chad McAvoy. May I ask you to stand, Chad, please? Thank you. As mentioned in the State of the University address, this fall, Illinois State welcomed 4,147 first-year students, a 4% increase over last year, and the largest incoming class in 36 years. Our total enrollment stands at 20,989, a 1.5% increase over last year. I'm also happy to report that approximately 41% of this year's freshman class comes from traditionally underrepresented groups, making this cohort of students more diverse than the general Illinois population. And 32% of our total student population comes from traditionally underrepresented groups. I'm pleased to share that our students' retention is 81.3%, up from 80.3% last year. And Illinois State ranks nationally in the top 65 colleges and universities for best value by U.S. News and World Report. Our continued enrollment success is the result of hard work, dedication, and commitment by many students, faculty, and staff throughout the university. Thank you to Jenna Albrecht, Jeff Mavras, and the enrollment management staff, admissions, housing, the honors program, University College, the registrar's office, the graduate school, the Office of International Engagement, and our dedicated faculty, academic counselors, and financial aid staff for this accomplishment. I'm pleased to share that progress continues to be made on the College of Engineering. The university submitted 3 engineering curricular proposals to the Illinois Board of Higher Education on August 31st, and we look forward to receiving approval from the IBHE so that we may begin advertising and marketing the engineering programs. Additionally, over the last couple of weeks, we hosted several events with community and corporate partners committed to the success of our students and Illinois State College of Engineering. ISU students have unique opportunities to work with outstanding faculty as well as practitioners, such as retired United States Ambassador Gita Passy, who is serving as Illinois State inaugural Donald F. McHenry Visiting Professor in Diplomacy and International Affairs. Ms. Passy is a 3-time Chief of Mission with the rank of Career Minister. She most recently served as the U.S. Ambassador to Ethiopia until 2022. She earlier served as the U.S. Ambassador to Chad and Djibouti, as well as Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary in the Bureau of African Affairs, leading a team that developed and advanced U.S. policy in Africa. I hope you will join me at the inaugural Donald F. McHenry Visiting Professor in Diplomacy and International Affairs keynote at 7 p.m. on November 13th in the Bond Student Center. We continue to make progress on new and existing facilities projects. On October 5th, an open house was held to celebrate the opening of the new Wonsor Kim College of Fine Arts MFA Art Studios in the refurbished space at Eastland Mall. Located in the mall's south wing, the 10,000 square foot studio space, including 20 studios for MFA students, replaces the space formerly on Douglas Street in Bloomington. The new location will serve as temporary space until the multi-million-dollar renovation of the Wonsor Kim College of Fine Arts complex is complete. The indoor practice facility was dedicated on September 30th, and it is an impressive facility. Unbelievably, it looks even bigger from the inside. The new facility will expand opportunities for all Redbird teams and ease congestion for ISU teams currently using Houghton Field House as an indoor practice area. Additionally, there will be opportunities for community use. Work on the Center for Visual Arts Rotunda classroom renovation continues and is on target for a spring 2024 reopening. The nearly 4,000 students who take classes in the Rotunda each semester will return to a completely renovated facility with new lecture seating, modern finishes, and 4 new ADA accessible ramps. A ribbon-cutting ceremony for the new Mennonite College of Nursing Springfield location was held on August 18th. The Springfield location helps address a critical need for more nurses, increases MCN's teaching capacity, and creates a pathway for more transfer students to become nurses in Central Illinois. The first cohort of nursing students is currently taking classes in the facility this fall. And lastly, Watterson Dining Commons opened for the fall semester after undergoing extensive remodeling over the summer. Last night, the Board of Trustees and I had the opportunity to tour this remodeled space and enjoyed a meal in Watterson Dining Commons. I want to thank Vice President for Student Affairs, Lavessie Johnson, Associate Vice President for Student Affairs, Danielle Miller-Schuster, and Bill Leggett, Director of Events Management, Dining and Hospitality, for the time they spent with us last night and their vision in transforming the space. In the following weeks, the university is hosting several events in support of the university's commitment to equity, diversity, inclusion, and access. I would like to share 2 events with you today. Part of a series of events in celebration of Latinx Heritage Month, University Housing Services will host U.S. Olympic gymnast Laurie Hernandez as a keynote speaker for the Latino Cultural Dinner on October 30th. Perhaps best known for bringing home the gold and silver medals at the 2016 Rio Olympic Games, she has also won ABC's Dancing with the Stars and published 2 New York Times bestsellers. She's a fierce mental health advocate and has partnered with multiple campaigns and initiatives to encourage support and awareness for all. She's a second-generation American. Her grandparents are from Puerto Rico, making her the first U.S.-born Latina to make the U.S. team since 1984. We look forward to welcoming her to campus in a couple of weeks. I am pleased to share that the 5th annual First Generation Celebration Kickoff Summit will be held on November 3rd to 4th, 2023. The event is a 2-day celebration to honor National First Generation College Celebration Day, which is November 8, 2023. First Generation College Celebration Day advances an asset-based national narrative about first-generation student experiences and outcomes. I want to thank the many campus departments who have worked with the TRIO program in University College for supporting this most important program. As I near the end of my remarks, I want to share a few additional points of pride. On October 29th, ISU will host Illinois Wesleyan for the first time in over 50 years. This community event will feature both the men's and women's teams, and proceeds will be donated to the Western Avenue Community Center and Student Athletes Mental Health Initiatives for both schools. I am pleased to report that in the first quarter of this fiscal year, our dedicated ISU alumni and friends have already contributed $7.1 million towards our ambitious goal of $26 million for FY24. This strong start to the year showcases not only the loyalty of our Redbird community, but also your confidence and deep commitment to the future of our institution. Such generosity is inspiring and underscores the pivotal role philanthropy plays in advancing our university's mission. A special thank you to our alumni and friends for your continued support and engagement. We will continue to build on our momentum, and I know that together, the Redbird community will help us rise to new levels of success. The university has made an intentional effort to increase our research support from external partners. Through the first quarter of FY24, the university is already at more than 50% of our FY23 award dollar totals for the entire year. Non-governmental contracts are trending positively as well. The next time you travel south on Interstate 55, or not going to Chicago, you're sure to notice the large red bird painted on one of the barns at the Illinois State University farm at Lexington. It is quite hard to miss. We continue to seek unique ways of showcasing our Redbird pride and marketing Illinois State University, and we welcome any ideas that you may have towards this goal. We continue to engage our community and corporate partners. On October 2nd, Illinois State hosted Climate, Conservation, and Community, Career Exploration with Rivian. The event included a panel of recent Illinois State alumni currently employed at Rivian who offered insights into internships and job opportunities with that company. Dr. Malt Ademon, an associate professor in the Department of Technology who teaches renewable energy and engineering technology courses, helped organize the event in partnership with Career Services, the Office of Sustainability, and University Advancement. More than 150 students attended the event, which provided unique networking opportunities with Rivian recruiters for students seeking internships and employment. ISU is part of the Inclusive Excellence Learning Community sponsored by Howard Hughes Medical Institute that aims to broaden participation in the STEM disciplines. We will host a 3-part virtual series this fall, led by Dr. Sandra Maguire, internationally acclaimed educator and author of Teach Students How to Learn, that aims to assist faculty teaching introductory STEM classes. The Strategic Planning Steering Team and Task Force have been working on a draft of the 2024-2029 Illinois State Strategic Plan. The team will be seeking your feedback on the draft in a number of ways in the coming weeks. Through an email survey, town halls, meetings, and consultation visits. Please make every effort to contribute to the future direction of Illinois State by participating in one of these activities. The 2024-29 Illinois State Strategic Plan is slated to seek Board of Trustees approval in May of 2024. Thank you to the members of the Strategic Planning Team and Task Force for their work on this most important initiative. Lastly, I would like to acknowledge Vice President for Finance and Planning, Dan Stevens' upcoming retirement. Dan will retire on January 1, 2024, after joining Illinois State in April of 2017, and has had a long career in higher education and corporate financial leadership roles. Dan came to Illinois State during a time of budget uncertainty in the state of Illinois, and his leadership helped the university navigate a difficult time. In the years since, Dan was central to creating the academic enhancement fee that provides Illinois State with resources to maintain academic facilities and instructional technology. He also produced the fiscal model that underpins the new College of Engineering and the expansion of key learning facilities and enrollment within the Mennonite College of Nursing. I extend my congratulations to Dan and his wife Deborah as they begin this next chapter and have an opportunity to spend more time closer to their families. Dan, if you could please stand so that we may acknowledge and thank you. Thank you. I would now like to call on today's spokesperson for the Campus Communication Committee, Melissa Ramirez Osorio. Melissa is an academic advisor, recruiter, and student success coach in the College of Education and serves as a Campus Communication Committee representative from the AP Council and the chairperson of the Campus Communication Committee. Melissa?
Right. Thank you so much, and good morning, everyone. So on behalf of the Campus Communication Committee, we would first like to thank our presenter this morning, Dr. Rupa Ruji from the Office of International Engagement, for sharing her office's goals for the academic year 23-24. We're just excited to see the efforts of the OIE office as they work towards their contribution to the internalization and diversification goals of the university's Educating Illinois plan. If you haven't met her, she is incredible, so I really encourage you, all of you to meet with her. We'd like to begin by saying congratulations to the entire university community for our success in maintaining strong enrollment numbers, the largest class in 36 years. Of the incoming class, 41% of first-time college students come from diverse or underrepresented backgrounds, which makes this class more diverse than the general Illinois population. These achievements are a testament to the hard work and dedication of our faculty and staff, Yet, even with our continued success, ISU receives the lowest per-student appropriation of the state of Illinois. The Campus Communication Committee hopes this discrepancy will continue to be a priority for ISU and the Board of Trustees to address at the highest levels of Illinois government. The Campus Communication Committee appreciates the university's recent recognition of the hard work and dedication of faculty and staff. The Years of Service Employee Recognition Program has been met with a positive reception across the university. We would like to commend the university's commitment to rewarding faculty and staff with well-deserved merit-based salary increases. The Campus Communication Committee acknowledges that a faculty union named United Faculty of ISU has filed authorization and membership cards with the Illinois Educational Labor Relations Board. The process of clarifying lines of responsibility between the nascent union and the Academic Senate will be a long one. We hope that Campus Communication Committee will be a viable communication channel for faculty in the foreseeable future. The Campus Communication Committee would like to extend our heartfelt condolences to the families and campus communities of Morgan State University, Michigan State University, and University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, and all other college campuses that have been victims of active shootings in the last few months. These incidents highlight the need for us to remain vigilant and proactive to ensure that the safety of all community members and students. We encourage all campus members to stay current with active shooter exercises and trainings, and we commend the efforts of our emergency management department for their work to coordinate the university's response to anticipated emergencies. On September 13th, a federal judge in Texas ruled DACA, the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program, unlawful. As we await new developments from this ruling, we encourage campus administration to provide support for our undocumented and DACA students. While this ruling is disappointing and leaves the future of DACA recipients in a state of uncertainty, current DACA recipients will continue to renew their applications. The secondary effects of this ruling will have an impact on the mental health and overall well-being of our undocumented and DACA students and students of mixed status families. In our previous letter, we addressed the importance of providing support for the mental health and academic success of ISU students, which should include the overall well-being of our undocumented and DACA students. This support will also reaffirm our commitment to inclusivity and diversity. The Campus Communication Committee would like to applaud the Board of Trustees' decision to conduct an open search for the university's next president. The decision to have open representation will ensure transparency, campus engagement, and broad participation in the selection process. So we're excited for that. ISU celebrated several exciting dedications, including the Mennonite College of Nursing and Memorial Health's new location in Springfield, as well as a new indoor practice facility. These stand as testaments to our continued commitment to growth and expansion, providing more opportunities for our students and faculty to thrive. The Campus Communication Committee wishes everyone safe and happy homecoming festivities. The Student Government Association's 100th anniversary celebration during homecoming makes it even more special. The milestone represents the endurance of our shared values and the university's long-standing traditions that make us unique. As always, the campus community has much to look forward to, and together we will continue to provide the best experience and environment for our students. And with that, I will close this letter by saying, go your Redbirds. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. I would now like to call on Brad Franke, Director of Public Affairs and Policy, for the legislative updates.
Thank you, Interim President Tarhule and Board of Trustees. For those of you that I have not yet met, I am Brad Franke, and I serve as the Director of Public Affairs and Policy, where I oversee local, state, and federal legislative affairs. Since assuming this role on August 1st, I've been focused on working closely with Interim President Tarhule and the administration on strengthening our relationships with legislators and staff within the Illinois General Assembly, as well as our United States senators and congressional leaders and their staff members. Upon my coordination, Interim President Tarhule has had multiple productive conversations regarding Illinois State University priorities with state legislators throughout the state, from the Metro East area, Chicago, Springfield, and our Bloomington-Normal area legislators. It is a top priority to continue to build upon ISU's working relationships with members of the Redbird Caucus within the State General Assembly. The Redbird Caucus includes state legislators who are alums, as well as those with close ties to the university. who we plan to work with closely throughout the entirety of legislative sessions in Springfield. Interim President Tarhule has met with several members of this group, and we are in process of scheduling additional meetings in our effort to build this coalition. Veto session begins in Springfield Monday, October 24th, and is scheduled to end November 9th. There are only 6 veto session days scheduled. In working in coordination with my counterparts from the other public universities and through conversations with our area state legislators, we do not expect any major concerns to arise regarding higher education or appropriations during veto session. With that being said, I, along with my counterparts, will be monitoring veto session very closely to ensure that any concerns that the university has with new amendments to existing bills are addressed and that the university's needs are heard and met. This concludes my report, and I look forward to continuing this work with the campus community and the board. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brad. There is one report today, the Promotions, Tenure, and Sabbatical Leave Report, which was included in your board materials. The Promotions, Tenure, and Sabbatical Leave Report provides information about promotion, tenure, and sabbatical personnel decisions that take effect in fiscal year 2024 and are completed in the fall and spring of fiscal year 2023. The report outlines the application and review process for promotion, tenure, and sabbaticals. Also provided as summary data on this year's applications, rank distributions over the past decade for tenured faculty, and the list of the fiscal year 2024 changes in status. Are there questions or comments from the Board of Trustees about this report?
Well, I would just like to say that I actually read all of this report, and I find some of the things that are going to be done during sabbatical fascinating, and I look forward to reading some of the manuscripts, chapters, books in the near future.
Thank you, Chairperson Bowen. Seeing no further questions, with the permission of our chairperson, I will proceed with the resolutions.
You may proceed.
Thank you. Resolution 2023.10/49 FY 2024 Operating Budget. In accordance with the Illinois Board of Higher Education policy, each public university governing board is required to review and approve an official budget for the university it governs each fall. Table 1 in your packet presents actual revenues from all operating fund sources in FY 23, totaling $522.3 million. Looking ahead to FY 24, we expect total revenues, including use of historical reserves, will be approximately $561.3 million. Illinois State expects to spend $200 million in FY 24 on the activities associated with its core functions of Board of Trustees, Illinois State University, instruction, research, and public service, representing 36% of the estimated total university expenditures. Most of these funds are derived from general revenue appropriations or university income fund. Another $29.8 million is expected to be spent on those activities that provide direct support to those core functions referred to in Table 3 as academic support. The largest allocation within this function is for the operation of Milner Library, but also includes academic administrative functions. Of the $73.4 million expected to be spent on operations and maintenance, almost $12 million is budgeted for utilities and utility conservation projects. Deferred maintenance of facilities will continue to be addressed as funds allow. The university's accumulated backlog of maintenance required to bring all campus facilities up to top working condition is estimated at $400 million, with $225 million needed for state-supported facilities and the remainder totaling $175 million for bond revenue facilities. The university continues to allocate its resources to its highest priorities and to support those initiatives that are outlined in its strategic plan. Instruction and the support of high-quality faculty and staff continue to be the two highest priorities. I ask for your approval for this resolution.
May I have a motion and a second to approve the resolution?
I so move.
Trustee Navarro made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
A second with Trustee Jenkins. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of the resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution is approved.
Thank you. Resolution 2023.10/50 FY 2025 appropriated budget request, operating and capital. Earlier, each year at this time, the university is required to ask the board to approve its appropriated funds operating budget requests and its capital appropriation request to the Illinois Board of Higher Education for the next fiscal year. For FY 25, Illinois State is requesting an operating appropriation of $96.2 million, an increase of $18 million, or 23% over FY 24. Increases are sought to assist with funding faculty and staff compensation, replacement tuition revenue for teacher special education waivers, inflationary operating costs that are not personnel, additional student financial aid, and key equity, diversity, and inclusion initiatives, including support for non-traditional students and post-secondary attainment equity, as well as dedicated funds to target expansion efforts of high-need disciplines in the state of Illinois. The capital projects for which funding is requested for FY 2025 are instrumental in addressing the goals and priorities articulated in the university's strategic plan, as well as the recommendations in the master plan. These projects are important to enhancing a healthy, safe, and environmentally sustainable campus, and to ensuring the university has the physical infrastructure necessary for excellence in instruction, research, and creative scholarships and service in the 21st century. The university's request for state funds for capital improvements in FY 24 is $653.4 million, including $613 million for 7 major capital improvement projects and $40.4 million for capital renewal projects. I ask for your approval for this resolution.
May I have a motion and a second to approve the resolution?
I so move.
Trustee Navarro made the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second. Jenkins.
Trustee Jenkins, second. Is there any discussion? Although, I'm sorry. Oh.
Sorry, have it.
No problem. All those in favor of the resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution is approved.
Thank you. Resolution number 2023.10/51, approval of campus-wide network upgrade phase 2. In May 2022, the Board of Trustees approved phase 1 of a multi-year campus network upgrade. Phase 1 of the project is expected to be completed by January 2024, and phase 3 of the project will be brought for board approval in fall 2024. Technology Solutions is requesting approval for phase 2, replacement of current campus networking equipment to support Illinois State University's classroom and administrative buildings and internet bandwidth needs. The current equipment was purchased between 2010 and 2013 and is nearing the end of its useful life and vendor support. Phase 2 of the project is estimated not to exceed $1.25 million and should be completed by December 2024. Approval of the project will further enhance the university's competitive advantage and support strategic goals for next-generation technology infrastructure, while providing increased reliability, efficiency, security, and visibility of the network that supports critical network functions and will significantly increase network speed and bandwidth capacity. The source of funding is general revenue funds, AFS revenue resources, and agency funds. I ask for your approval for this resolution.
May I have a motion and a second to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Trustee Jones made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
I'm sorry.
Second.
Trustee Abakumi, second. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Trustee Jones.
I would just like to say, as I was reading over these reports, I saw that we approved that it not exceed $1.25 million for the first phase. This might be one of the few times I see it. Actual cost was only $1.06 million. So I'd like to encourage the university to keep bringing us those kind of numbers, if you can. Please don't spend everything we give you if you can.
We'll try.
I agree. That was great. That was great. Any other discussion? Trustee Navarro.
So it says the source of funding are those three funds, general revenue, AFS, and agency funds. What's the percentage that each of those funds will contribute to this cost?
Thank you for that question, if I may. As we allocate as facilities based on whether it's an academic, an administrative facility, or a bond facility, so I'm looking at my notes here, the academic buildings represent about 78% of that, and we'll actually be using our AEF funds for those. The administration buildings is only about 6% of that. There's a small portion of about 3% in the athletic facilities. There's a 2% amount sitting in parking, and then there's actually a 1% sitting in both in the foundation as well as an agency, the Multicultural Center.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any other discussion? All those in favor of the resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution is approved.
Thank you. Resolution 2023.10/52, authorization of MCNSC Milner College of Nursing Simulation Center related connection to ISU chilled water plant. In 2016, Illinois State University hired Stanley Engineering to design a central plant chilled water loop system and develop a multi-year plan to interconnect 5 of the existing chiller plants for the purposes of energy efficiency, reduced operating costs, and increased central plant reliability and redundancy for the cooling systems. As noted in the Master Plan 2010 to 2030, Item 53, Utilities Infrastructure denotes other work will be undertaken to ensure continuity of service reliability on campus, including the development of connections between district chiller groups. With construction underway for the 16,000 square foot addition to the Mennonite College of Nursing Simulation Center, ISU energy conservation standards direct this building to be connected to the chilled water loop for utilities. Therefore, the plan is for this building to be connected to the chilled plant located in the Bourne Student Center. This project includes all necessary design and construction work to connect the MCNSC to the Bourne Student Center / Milner Library chiller plant. New chilled water piping and new direct buried piping will provide cooling for the building, while new steam piping will be connected to provide heat. Estimated total project costs are expected not to exceed $4.1 million and should be completed by August 2024. The source of funding is general revenue resources. I ask for your approval for this resolution.
May I have a motion and a second to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Motion's made by Trustee Abakumi. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Merminga. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Yes, Trustee Jones.
My question is, when we approved the completion of this sim lab, did we not have an idea that this was going to be necessary? And if we didn't, when we have future projects, how can we better be prepared for something like this that may have to come to the board later.
And thank you for asking that question. As we started to look back at the analysis that we were doing back in 2021, late 20, when we were evaluating the College of Engineering and then as well as nursing, we were working with Canada Design, and the original discussion with them led us to believe that we had potentially two options. One option was standalone system, which in the end is something that's less efficient overall as well as requires more effort. Or to tie into the chiller system, which is what this investment is. The original thoughts were that would be an offsetting cost. It'd be around potentially $1.5 to $2 million each. And so we went along that context, thinking by the time we'd get to the approval for doing this, we would end up with a kind of a neutral balance. Unfortunately, the cost of putting in those pipes below the ground to connect to the other side of the street ended up being a lot higher than what we thought. One point I would like to add is it just doesn't bring the pipes to just the particular facility. It allows for an investment, any additional investments that we choose to make on that side of the street for some of the properties we have to connect any future buildings. And so it is, yes, it is directly attributable to the Mennonite Nursing Simulation Lab, and we will also remove, once the older systems in the existing facility, we'll connect that into the chiller system. But it's an investment both in the short term and an investment in the long term. My apologies for not making that reference in the resolution for that was presented to approve the project. Just unfortunately, the cost to go under the ground with this pipes just turned out to be a lot higher than we thought.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? I'll recognize myself. I have a question. So tying into the chiller system is going to be more efficient?
Oh, significantly more efficient.
And so if it would have been a standalone, which we anticipated to begin with,
Right.
that would have cost us more energy-wise, I guess?
Yes.
And now,
Not only energy-wise, it's about tying into a central system like this and using water versus forced air, basically similar to what we have in our homes. It can be as much as 50% cheaper than just on energy. But the other biggest savings is that the labor associated with monitoring standalone systems like that is extra labor when we've got a small team that is dedicated to the entire chiller system. So it is an overall investment in not only labor, and it creates redundancy. One of the disadvantages, which was why we moved in this direction, was that in a standalone system, if for some reason that went down, then the simulation lab would have no capacity. With a chiller system that we've got connected essentially across campus, there's an opportunity that if there is a degradation in one part of the facility, there's an ability to redirect energy coming from another area in order to provide power. So it was a combination of redundancy, cost efficiency, and so it really is, in the end, a longer-term investment. It just happens to be the first facility we tie in is the simulation lab.
okay, thank you. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor of the resolution, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The resolution is approved.
Resolution 2023.10/53, authorization of beverage contract agreement. ISU's event management, dining, and hospitality operates all culinary aspects of 2 residential dining facilities, 10 retail dining venues, and manages Illinois State Catering, and with intercollegiate athletics, operates concessions at the Wilbrigg Golf Club. Beverage contracts with the Coca-Cola Company for EMDH and PepsiCo, Inc. for intercollegiate athletics are set to expire in October and December 2023, respectively. The university has determined that a single pouring rights contract for dining and athletics is a cost-effective and secure solution. The university is asking permission to enter into agreement with a successful vendor after conclusion of the competitive process in January 2024 or as soon as practicable for up to a 10-year period based upon satisfactory performance and a continuing need for such services. The contract amount is not to exceed $3.75 million. I ask for your approval for this resolution.
May I have a motion and a second to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Motion's made by trustee Abakumi. Is there a second?
I'll second Navarro.
Trustee Navarro, second. Is there any discussion?
I have a question.
Yes, trustee Navarro.
Madam Chair. Okay, so in the packet that I received, the date, it might just be a typo, because my packet says January 1st of 2023, but in what you read, it was 2024. I just want to make sure that we're consistent on that. And then how much is our current contract? If we're approving a contract that's not going to exceed 3.7, what are we currently paying for these services? And we're not voting on Coke or Pepsi, right?
Actually, I think we are.
Yeah, I don't know that I have that specific number right now. I don't know, Bill, you might have that number, what we're currently? Yeah, so I don't have that specific amount right now. What we do have, though, is calculated the combined totals between the areas, throwing in as well then an escalator for cost and so forth. And that's how we came up with the 3.7 plus. So I can get that, we can get those numbers for you later. As far as the current.
But you want us to vote now?
So I'm sorry, Madam Chair.
I mean, yeah,
So
is this like a 5% increase, a 3%? Like, what do you anticipate this to be compared to what we're currently paying?
Hold that question. We'll see if we can get an answer.
Madam Chair, just to piggyback on trustee Navarro, that was my exact question. Are we sure that this is going to be sufficient based on what we're currently paying and based on what the trends are? And as trustee Navarro said, how much are we adding in this for the
Sure.
10-year period?
Sure. We'll get that formula for you.
And then the resolution should read that January 1st, 2024.
24, correct. Great question.
Trustee Navarro?
So the goal is to have one company?
Yes,
for
the
both?
goal is to have one company, and we think through that, we can get some efficiencies as relates to the cost as well by combining and having one product here on campus. So regardless if you're a pop person or a soda person, there will be a beverage for you. Me, I'm a Starbucks person.
President
Again, I
Tarhouli,
apologize for the
Do we
delay.
want to move forward and then come back to this resolution?
Yeah, can we do
would
that?
be wise.
Okay,
Okay, great.
okay, we'll come back. to
We'll
it.
come back to this. Resolution 2023.
Excuse me.
Oh, sorry.
So I would like to ask for a motion to postpone.
So moved.
Trustee Jones made the motions. There a second?
Second.
Trustee Tillis is the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you. Resolution 2023.10/54, authorization of ISU College of Engineering purchase of John Green Building from the ISU AFS system. In May 2022, Board Memo 2022.05/15, Illinois State University Board of Trustees approved plans to program, plan, design, and submit for public bid the the renovation of the John Green Food Services and Carter Harris Administration buildings into the future home of the College of Engineering. The John Green Food Services building is owned by the Illinois State University Auxiliary Facilities System, AFS, as created by the Board of Regents of the State of Illinois. The Board of Trustees is authorized to sell, lease, or otherwise dispose of any facilities of the AFS upon fair and reasonable terms. The John Green building has been appraised at a value of $3.76 million. The university is seeking the board's approval to authorize the sale of the John Green building by the AFS to the General Revenue Fund at a price of not to exceed $3.76 million, plus reasonable closing and related costs, and authorize the purchase of the John Green building by the General Revenue Fund from the AFS for the purchase price, and then authorize the removal of the John Green building from the AFS. I ask for your approval for this resolution.
So moved. Oh, so sorry.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Trustee Abakumi made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Trustee Jones, second. Is there any discussion?
I have a question.
Quick question, Madam Chair.
Trustee Jenkins.
Could someone do can you just describe this in 10th grade language of what we're doing?
Yes, according to Illinois LAC guidelines, Legislative Audit Compliance Guidelines, the state-supported facilities are in a general revenue tuition-supported swim lane. The self-sustaining facilities, athletic facilities, Bone Student Center, Waterson Dining, those type of facilities are listed in, are identified in an auxiliary facility. Because of those two different swim lanes, there is and there's a need for those to remain separate. From a legal point of view, the university has to acquire at an arm's length, which is why we had to get an appraisal, at an arm's length to acquire the property from ourselves. And so what we are doing is we're simply writing a check out of our GR checking account, providing it to our FS checking account, and placing it into the reserves there. So it's not any funds leaving the institution. It's just simply moving from one designated bucket to another.
Okay, thank you. That helps.
And you said the money's going into
Trustee
reserves?
Navarro?
That's correct. Yeah, it goes into the reserves. It's a dining facility, so dining repairs, some of the items that you see overall for making investments. That's what these funds are used for.
Trustee Abakumi, did you have yours was answered? So I recognize myself again. My understanding is this is more or less state law that we have to do.
Yes, this is state law. Yes, okay. It is because those facilities sit in that type of legal structure. We have to actually have a legal document to construct or to transact this.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor of the resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution is approved.
Thank you. Resolution 2023.10/55, authorization to acquire liability and cybersecurity insurance. Illinois State University, as a member of the Illinois Public Higher Education Cooperative, IPEC, has participated in a statewide cooperative with other Illinois public universities to purchase various types of liability insurance policies. FY24's general liability and cybersecurity insurance coverage amount is projected not to exceed $550,000. In FY23, the university incurred approximately $480,000 in annual premiums for these areas of coverage. The historical annual increases in insurance have typically ranged from 8% to 15%, depending on certain factors. Actual cost in FY24 will not be known until final renewal quotes and the amount of insurance coverage required is determined. Most coverage policies are renewed at various times throughout the fiscal year. This increase in insurance premium in FY24 is not a reflection of significant insurance losses reported by Illinois State University or other IPEC members during FY23, but is largely the result of current inflationary market conditions as well as new and emerging risks requiring insurance coverage. This includes cybersecurity, non-owned aircraft, and drones. The university is seeking approval from the Board of Trustees to secure the necessary general liability and cybersecurity insurance coverage to help protect the university's assets, intellectual property, and reputation. The projected amount of liability and cybersecurity insurance costs is expected to not exceed $550,000 in FY24. The source of funding is general revenue and auxiliary facilities systems operating revenues. I ask for your approval for this resolution.
May I have a motion and a second to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Trustee Jones made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Trustee Abakumi, second. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Trustee Jones.
I know in the past, I know with health insurance, we were part of some sort of consortium at one time, and I believe we found out that it was better and more lucrative for us to be separate to receive that insurance. Have we investigated that? Are we monitoring this? Because although we have not had any claims, it would be my understanding if we're part of a consortium and someone else had claims, that still might affect our rate. So are we sure that by being part of this consortium, we're still getting the best rate for this insurance?
Yes, we do. We do feel in the end through the IPEC agreement, Marsh is our broker, and it's the ability to collectively, just like the property insurance, this is just liability insurance. So the more that you can spread the overall risk, and just hope, what we do have to hope is that the other universities that are in the consortium take the same level of risk prevention, especially that we do with our cybersecurity, in order to make sure that we have very, very few, if any, types of losses. So we do feel very confident that if we tried to do these policies just simply on our own, it would be simply a higher cost.
Is there any other, Trustee Tillis?
Dan, my question is, has the technology department had an opportunity to will they have an opportunity to review the renewal to make sure that our coverages are adequate? We do know that they're going to go up, but are our coverages adequate enough?
And actually, thank you for the question. Our cybersecurity insurance, which is something over the last, really for the last decade or so, has been an element of insurance that really didn't need to exist before, and it exists now. And so our risk management team works with our cybersecurity protection team and our CIO's office to work with the insurance company to make sure we have the measurements and the prevention measures in place in order to even be able to acquire that insurance. It is not something just because we seek it doesn't mean we have the ability to have an insurance policy. So it's very important for us to work hand in hand with our insurance company to make sure our preventative measures we have on campus allow us to have the ability to even acquire that type of insurance.
No, I guess my question is more focused on making sure that we have adequate coverages. So if somebody comes and there's ransomware and they say that we're going to charge $10 million to give your system back, do we have the adequate coverages in the event of a cybersecurity breach?
Yes, we do. I mean, again, we're working off of industry standards, that are available in those policies along with the consortium. So we feel very good about the levels of insurance that we've acquired and also the measures by which those insurance companies will step in and help us prevent from having as you say, kind of a catastrophic issue and the ability to fund that.
Thank you.
Is there any other discussion? All those in favor of the resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution is approved.
Thank you. Good question from the insurance professional.
What a shock.
Resolution 2023.10/56, authorization of Town of Normal temporary and permanent easements. The Town of Normal, working with Hutchinson Engineering Incorporated, has developed plans to extend the Constitution Trail via the Town of Normal Gregory Street Trail Extension Project, located along Gregory Street from North Parkside Road to North Adelaide Street on property owned by Illinois State University. For these plans to proceed, the Town of Normal requires a temporary and a permanent easement along the Gregory Street property. The proposed temporary easement is requested for the installation and construction of a recreational path for the use and enjoyment of the general public. The proposed permanent easement is requested for the operation, inspection, repair, maintenance, reconstruction, replacement, alteration, enlargement, relocation, and renewal and removal of the path. The grantee will have the right to ingress and egress in, to, over, and across the recreational path construction easement and the recreational path easement for any lawful purpose needed for the full enjoyment of the right granted by the grantor to the grantee in this easement. With both easements, if the path is not constructed within a 5-year period from date of easement, the agreement will terminate and all rights will revert to the university. The easement would also include indemnification obligations for the Town of Normal for claims arising from the construction and other authorized uses in the easement areas. There are no costs to Illinois State University associated with approving these temporary and permanent easements. I ask for your approval for this resolution.
May I have a motion and a second to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Trustee Jones made the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Navarro, second. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Trustee Navarro.
So how long is this easement? Is it miles? Is it quarter mile? Like, what are we, how long will this extend the trail?
Sorry. Trustee Navarro, thank you. The easements for Gregory Street going along in front of the golf course, the President's House, all the way back to where the firehouse, the old fire station is. I think it's what, approximately a mile to 2 miles, somewhere in that range. There are drawings that the contractor has put together already, and we're looking for approval for it's a Constitution Trail that they want to put in there that'll help get our students and everything out to the intramural fields out there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of the resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution is approved.
Thank you. Resolution 2023.10/57, authorization to name Gina and Michael Wee Reception and Welcome Desk. Whereas the Board of Trustees, as authorized by the Board of Trustees governing document, Section C, Policies, subsection 4-C, naming of facilities, shall approve the naming of all facilities at the university. And whereas the reception/welcome desk space in the newly created Mennonite College of Nursing Simulation Center is located in Normal, Illinois, and whereas Gina and Michael Wee have committed financial resources to Illinois State University, and whereas the University Naming Committee has recommended and Interim President Tahule has endorsed the recommendation as described herein. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees in regular meeting assembled approves the naming of the reception/welcome desk in the Mennonite College of Nursing Simulation Center as the Gina and Michael Wee Reception and Welcome Desk in recognition of financial support to Illinois State University. I ask for your approval for this resolution.
May I have a motion and a second to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Trustee Ebekumi made the motion. Is there a second?
Second, Jenkins.
Trustee Jenkins, second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of the resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
And I would like to thank Gina and Michael Way for this and give them a round of applause.
Thank you. And I too would like to add my thanks to Chairperson Bones, to Michael and Gina for their generosity to the Mennonite College of Nursing. Resolution 2023.10/58, Amendment to 2024 meeting dates. Whereas the Open Meetings Act requires that all public bodies approve and publish an annual calendar of meeting dates, whereas the schedule for the October 2024 meeting has changed, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the recommended 2024 meeting calendar and requests that it be posted and published in accordance with the Open Meetings Act no later than December 1, 2023. I ask for your approval for this resolution.
May I have a motion and a second to approve the resolution?
I so move.
Trustee Navarro made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Trustee Ebekumi, second. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Trustee
so
Navarro.
I just want to be clear, we're not adding meetings, we're just changing a date.
Yes, my understanding is we did not have the date for homecoming, the actual date, and now we do. And that's when we do the,
As long as we're not adding meetings.
is there any other discussion? All those in favor of the resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution is approved.
That concludes the resolutions for today.
No, not quite.
Coke or Pepsi?
Oh, I'm
So
sorry.
we would like to
have
go
one
back.
to go back to. My apologies. Okay, I got to go back to that. Sorry. I apologize to all the Pepsi drinkers.
What about the Coke drinkers?
And the Coke drinkers. Do you want me to read it again, or do you just have the answers?
That's a question for the chair, and
I think that. We're in discussion, right? Yeah, we're still in discussion for this. So
Okay,
you can
great.
just
great.
answer our question.
Well, I'll pick up where we left off. So with your question then, so the current combined total is about $280, right? $1,000 a year, which would be then over a 10-year period, 280 mil, or, I'm sorry.
2.8.
2.8. See, I'm not the math person, all right? But that's okay. That's a 34% increase. The current amount then, 34% increase. And that would include then probably increased volume as well that we anticipate. So we think we have enough. And if there's another numbers question, I'm going to ask Wendy to come up.
Is there any other discussion?
Yep.
Trustee Ebekumi.
Why do we anticipate increased volume?
Why do we anticipate increased volume?
Yeah.
We would hope that we're doing a good job of serving the community and getting more business coming in. So we have to be prepared for that. We have great enrollment that's taking place. So we may have increased number of students eating in our dining facilities and our retail spaces and so forth. So hopefully we're going to increase as well. Great question.
Thank you.
Trustee Navarro.
So, so this includes both fountain and bottle? I mean, it's the same contract?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
So I recognize myself in the same vein, so to speak, as Trustee Jones from a previous resolution. We are hopeful that it would not be a 35% increase.
Again, this is based on what we sell, right?
It's all based on what
So
you
it's not
sell.
to exceed.
Okay. I understand then.
Mhm.
Okay, do we need to do another motion? No.
Nope.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution is approved.
And now, this truly concludes the resolutions for today.
I would now entertain a motion to move into closed session for the purpose of discussing the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2C1, to discuss collective negotiating bargaining matters between the public body and its employees or the representatives pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2C2, to discuss litigation that has been filed and is pending before a court or administrative tribunal pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2C11, to discuss the purchase or lease of property for the use of the public body pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2C5, and discussion regarding the setting of a price for sale or lease of property presently owned by the public body pursuant to 5 ILCS 120C6. May I have a motion and a second to approve the motion to move into closed session?
So moved.
Trustee Jones made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Trustee Tillis, second. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, will the secretary please call for a roll call vote?
Trustee Bone?
Yes?
Trustee Mbakumi?
Yes.
Trustee Jenkins?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee Merminga?
Yes.
Trustee Navarro, yes. Trustee Tillis?
Yes.
The motion is approved. We will now move into closed session. Following the closed session, the board will move back into public session solely for the purpose of adjournment.